Um, Hello, everybody. Welcome to Living Extraordinary Podcast. I'm Nicky Melodic.
And I'm Danielle Conti. We're happy to have you.
Yes, we are. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the magnetic poles, or just like the Earth's magnetism, and some crazy dreams I had in relation to that. And then we'll see what else we get in there.
Yep. So I'll set it up because Nikki's going to dive in with a crazy dream story. A couple of weeks ago, you may have heard the news that the magnetic poles are shifting, which they have been doing for a long time. But the reason why it made news is because it's happening at a faster rate. So they're just, scientists are watching it and noticing that it's making this movement. So I had sent Nikki an article, which I knew she would be aware of this already happening. She's interested in it. And then she wrote me back with, yeah, this is weird because a couple of nights previous to that news being made public, she had a dream. So Nikki, tell us about your dream.
Okay. Well, first of all, I don't even know if it's necessarily recognized that the poles are they're shifting. They're not reversing. So yeah, I guess that's the thing. They're shifting at a they've been shifting for the last 100 years at like a 25 mile a year rate. And then, the North Pole has been in Canada forever. And now it's like almost in Siberia. So it's like in the middle of the Antarctic Ocean, just fastly moving. And in fact, it's moving at a rate to where they're supposed to meet in January, like 30th, to redefine where the North Pole is, because it's messing up all of the navigation systems of like planes and stuff and anything that's using like a GPS. So that's like what that article was about. And it's pretty cool. But yeah, okay. So I was having a dream and I got a detailed instructions on how to build this weird machine in this dream. So like this is what it looks like. I don't know if you can see. Okay, so I'm going to explain what it is basically. It's like a sensory deprivation tank, essentially. Like you're laying in this tank in like Epsom Salt, like floating, and then you have a giant neodymium, which is the strongest man-made magnets that we currently have. So like you have like a giant north-facing magnet and a giant south-facing magnet at the feet. And it's very important that you have the north face of the magnet towards your head and the south at the feet, because you don't want to misalign yourself. I don't know why that is, but that's what they told me in this little dream. And then there's alternating bands of underneath, like what you're laying on, of quartz and Shungite, which is carbon. So quartz is quartz crystal is a amplifier. It amplifies energy, and they even use it in cell phones and stuff like that. That's not just like a hoo-hoo, like, oh yay, this will make you see ghosts.
And they're also great recording devices.
Yeah, it does do microphones, and it's in a lot of our electronics. And then carbon, Shungite is almost like a pure form of carbon. It's like this black rock that's only mined in Russia right now. But I mean, I guess there's some other stuff that you could use besides actual Shungite, but Shungite is pretty cheap at this point, and you can get it into like almost like a powdered form. And so carbon is like a non-ferrous, meaning it's not it's not magnetic, and it's a conductor. So it'll, I guess, amplify, or we'll see when you have something that's conducting and amplifying, like going in between the two magnets. I guess I don't know if it strengthens their field or makes it like stay activated. I don't really know exactly what it does for that. But so yeah, and then you're in like magnesium water, like that's like Epsom salt water. Yeah. That makes you float weightless in between the two magnetic magnets. And that okay, the first dream they told me was that you float weightless in the magnetic current to align all of your blood and promote the raising of your energy or chi levels. And then they told me to look into Faraday cages for EMFs. And I was like, okay, and that's all I remember from that dream.
Okay, wait, let's stop there for a minute.
Okay.
So who are they that you think that you're getting this information from? And has this ever happened to you? Do you often dream where you're getting some kind of information from they, or whoever they are?
Okay, so this is where I'll come off as absolutely crazy, but I'm just going to go with it. So last March, so like March of 2018, I went to India for like a month, and I was in this, I don't know, this like kind of hippie town called Auroville, which is like, it was actually a really cool place. And anyway, I don't know, the middle of the month, one night, I was laying in bed, and I had my friend who I was traveling with. We were in like two double beds, or two twin beds. Like I was here and she was over there. And I don't know what time it was, like 4 a.m, 3 a.m, like dead asleep in the middle of the night. And all of a sudden, like I felt like my ears were like, when I was about to go scuba diving or something, like water, like just like the pressure in my head was like, ow, it was like hurting. And like I woke up and I was like, oh, and I sat up and I like scooted myself to the edge of the bed, and I was like, oh, Amy. And I like look over to her. I'm like, you like, are you feeling that? You're hearing that? And then all of a sudden these blue lights came in from
Like
into the window, orbs. Like, yeah, they were like the size of, I don't know, like a cantaloupe. They were about the size of like that, you know, like size of my head maybe, or like a can't like these like round balls like came in, 4 of them came in through the window, like as if the window were water or something, like it, as if it wasn't there. And I was like, Amy. And then 2 came to my left side, 2 came to my right side. And then it was like, they just started having this telepathic conversation with me. They like elongated to where they were like, you know, like the size of a watermelon. And I could see like it was almost like there was a silhouette of like royal blue, and then like a cerulean blue on the outline, like a light blue on the background of it. And I couldn't tell you if it was like an alien or whatever. It just looked like a human, like as if you were playing that game Guess Who, and it was just like a silhouette with a head and some shoulders. That's it. No features. I don't know what it was. And so they would like, whenever whichever one was talking to me, it would like get like a couple inches from my face, and then it would back off when it was done. And the way that it talked to you is like it talks to you almost like in images and in like giant bulk information at one time. So it wasn't like hello, how are you, how are you. It wasn't like that at all. It was like and you're like what okay. And what I took away from that, which is, it was a little bit difficult to completely like have a timeline of how that conversation goes, because it's yeah, that's a weird thing to have a timeline of when you're just given just like this, all this information. But at that point, which was a year ago almost, they told me that the magnetic fields are going to flip. Then they told me then, and they said that that they can hold it off for up to something like 20 years, 15, 20 years, but that they're trying to get enough people like ready, or I don't understand exactly what they like, what that means. And I was just like, okay. And they were like, and we may have to interfere, like come take people off planet. And if we do, like they were contacting me because like they wanted me to be like an ambassador or something. And I was like, what does that mean? And they're like, well, if we come, we need you to like, wherever you are in the world, you need to stop what you're doing and like go to where you hear they're at. And then, you know, you'll be at this pacifier, which meant that like my field, my energetic field would put people at ease if I was in their presence, to where like if you had a gun and you wanted to shoot at like a ship or something, you wouldn't be able to, because my field would like tranquilize you a little bit. Mm-hmm. Kind of sounds scary, actually. I don't have anything like that I know of, so I don't know. And anyway, so I was like, okay, all right, whatever. And they were like, I was like, well, why are you telling me this now? They're like, well, there's a slim, like a 5% or less chance that it'll happen in 2018. So we're making initial contact with you. you'll hear from us more when the time's needed. And I was just like, okay. But it went on for a long time, and we talked a lot about like why it's happening and if it for sure will happen and all this other stuff. And I can go into that later some other time. But anyway, I hadn't heard from them again till like 10 days ago or whenever this first stream was. And
Okay.
this was not in person.
I didn't know that part. That is amazing. Cool. Okay. So the first part was in person, and now they're coming through dreams.
Yes. And the first dream I had, it was almost as if I was in school, but I don't have a memory of who was talking to me. So I was kind of like, when I first got this machine, I was like, I just woke up and was like, oh shit, I need a pen. And I just like wrote down like everything that I just dreamed as fast as I could, but I don't remember who was telling me that in my dream. Like I couldn't tell you where I was or who gave me that information. But then about 3 nights ago, okay, it's like the 20th, so about like maybe the 20th of July, or sorry, January, we're in January of 2019. I had another dream, and this time it was, they came to give me more information about the Faraday cage and about what this machine will do and its importance. And it was the balls. It was the intelligent light balls again. And this time they didn't open up. They didn't change into the watermelon with the silhouettes. They just stayed in their light blue orb form and talked to me. And it's interesting because like it this time when I was in my dream, I remember having this conversation with them. I was like, well, like, how come I said, how come like at one point the dinosaurs or like even like giant sloths and woolly mammoths or even plants like that were as big as my body, like how come all that stuff could get that big? Whereas if you took a blue whale out of the water, it would crush itself in its own density, you know, or like the gravity of the plant. It's like it wouldn't survive. Like how come nothing is as big as it used to be, kind of thing. And they said, well, you guys were not designed for this gouge level, which is how we measure magnetism. They said when we, I don't know if they designed us, but they said when you guys were designed, you were designed at when the Earth's magnetic field was much stronger, and you'll work at your optimal level if you are activated to a point where your internal magnetic gouge is like way higher. So like they said, we're at a really, really weak magnetic field right now. In fact, if it gets much weaker, it will be really bad for like cosmic radiation and stuff like that. But so this is like an all-time weakest like that we've been. I don't know when, but like I guess it's cyclical. The planet does this. It's been doing this for millions and millions of years. It's just how she rolls. But anyway, so this machine that they gave me, so this was this next dream. They okay, that's supposed to be a octahedron. So it's a pyramid on top and a pyramid on the bottom, and it's all one giant aluminum foil. It's a thick aluminum foil casing, and it's all welded together. So like if there was a giant flood, it would just be like this floating giant diamond thing going. I mean, it would all be together. So basically this part's in the ground, and you only see the aluminum pyramid on the ground on the above, and that's what the machine is inside of that. And so they said that optimally what would be best is if you went in, you need to be fully activated to where your DNA is like what it was designed for. You would have to
like
go
optimal.
like to optimally do it, you'd be in that machine for 10 hours. So, but only 1 hour at a time. And then I guess like that's as activated as you can get. And so like the bottom part would be filled with shungite and quartz sand. And then you could put like, and they say like up to 5% of it can be like Himalayan pink salt or something like, or they didn't really say Himalayan pink salt. That's what it looked like to me. And and this is really crazy, but they said that it will de-age you.
Well,
So there you go.
who knows? I mean, who knows? That this is amazing. To me, this sounds all amazing, and I'm like, yeah, let's build it. But I want everyone to know that that you told me that about the Faradon cage during your first stream, that you were not really aware of what Faradon cage even was. So the fact that you were receiving that information at either some subconscious level, either you already knew what a Faradon cage was, or you had just received this new information in your downloaded dream and then like got the next steps after that, right? So you didn't really know what a Faradon cage was before that.
Is it Faraday cage or is it Faraday? I don't even know how to pronounce it. All I know is that like I started researching it like before I had my second dream, because they were like,
that's true, it is Faraday cage.
Faraday cage. That's
Faraday.
the word
Yeah, it's Faraday.
Faraday
Right.
or something. Yeah, I mean, if I had known what it was, I didn't consciously know what it was, I guess.
Right.
And then I also remember going like, well, who cares about EMFs? Like what difference would that have on when you're dealing with magnetics? And like they did say you're not supposed to have any jewelry or any metal, and it's actually probably not ideal if you had like
a pacemaker or something.
Pacemaker. Yeah, that
right.
kind of this wouldn't be an ideal thing for somebody who has like metal attachments in their body.
Right.
Which is unfortunate for them, maybe. Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking as you were talking about the Faraday cage, I was like, wait a minute, you are a flight attendant, and airplanes are just like massive Faraday cages flying through the sky at some level, because anything,
they're giant aluminum tubes,
right? And you're safe inside, and everything gets along outside, and it slides right through it, right above it, right along the surface of it, so it never really enters in it. So I thought that was just an interesting correlation also. Okay, so let's go back to the design of the second design, because can you explain that a little bit more? So the crystal that is on the bottom, is that also part, like, is it under the surface where the second bottom pyramid
is? Okay, so this is the natural ground of wherever you build it. Okay, this is air. So inside this, you're not putting actual ground back inside of it.
Oh, I see.
So this whole thing that is the ground that's going to hold the actual machine inside of the pyramid is filled with the amplifier and the conductor and the I don't even know what, like, I guess, whatever Epsom salt or magnesium or / Himalayan pink salt or whatever it is, like apparently those are going to make it to where you see how I lightly drew the magnetic field around it. So essentially, I think like the ultimate goal is being suspended within the strength, the core strength of a really strong magnetic field for a long period of time. And this will create an optimal area of flow that allows, and they said the pyramid structure is very important. It's actually not a pyramid because it's a octahedron, because it's pyramid on the top and on the bottom. That'll create an optimal, I don't know. It's like an optimal amplifier, I guess. It makes the energy strongest in that. And then also, yeah, no metal, no ferrous metal inside, and no electronics. And I guess any kind of wireless crap or whatever is any kind of other energy is not cool when you're doing your alignment. And anyway, so, my brother-in-law is an anesthesiologist, and my sister's a pediatrician, and they were like, I was showing them this, and of course I think I'm crazy, and they're like, this is just like an MRI machine, like this is how MRI machines are made. And I was like, yeah, I guess that I didn't know that, and I started looking into it, and it's kind of like, but this is like a little more natural than an MRI machine, and it's not for imaging or anything. It's literally to
Right.
align the iron within your blood.
Well, as far as I know too, there are no Epsom salts or well, I don't
No,
know if there
yeah,
are
there are,
crystals.
but they
If
are
they're
strong met. It's like magnetic
resonance
resonance
imaging.
imaging. Yeah.
Wow. Well, yeah, I think that this would be great to try out, and I can't wait to hear your next dream downloads. So I'm curious, like how if we all do this individually, do you think, did they indicate anything about how this is going to help us as the poles shift, or because you talked about how last time, like when they first actually visited you in India, they mentioned the poles then.
Yeah.
So like what's the
Well,
connection, I think?
like they basically said, like, they said that like some people have like don't need to go off planet, like they'll be able to handle the weak field, and they'll be able to
Change.
handle the radiation, but like that's only like 5% of the people. And
Okay.
like, but most people would probably perish with I don't know if it's the
Right.
cosmic radiation or just the fact that, like, I don't know. Okay, think about it like this. Like, this is the only thing I have it as an example, but okay, like let's say this were the earth, okay? Or like a bottle of water and there's oil in the middle, and the oil is the sand. You know, if you just go, "Ugh," it's like whatever's inside gets all, you know, messed up and like shifts. So I even if we turn, is like, you know, like theories I've heard about like magnetic pole shifting, which is not, that's not an airy fairyland thing. Like that's like a scientifically proven in the in every lava core sample that exists on the planet. And when it happens, it happens. And like like the theory I've heard, like the slowest it moves is within 100 years, and the fastest it moves is overnight. So if you turned this planet upside down, topsy-turvy, it overnight, like talk about the tsunamis you're going to have are going to be insane, like could cover the whole continents kind of thing. Or like, I don't know, I'm just saying, like it could be like catastrophic, like world ending kind of catastrophe. Or it maybe, if it's like going like slow like this over 100 years, that's still, I don't know how many miles the earth is, but if it's already starting to pick up steam, where they used to have to measure the North Pole like every 4 years, now they're having to
Right.
measure it every 8 months. Like it's steadily like going.
Right. Well, and it's also curious, like how are animals adjusting to all this? So it's not just us; it's the animals and insects that use this regularly to go back, to go birds and fish that go swimming upstream. Sure, they need this. So how is that going to affect them?
Well, I mean, we've already seen a lot of like beached. I mean, like a lot of, I mean, I keep on reading all these things about like not even just beached whales and beach sills and weird kind of jellyfishes that they've never seen before. Like I saw an article like 2 days ago about this new breed of jellyfish that washed up on the shore. I don't remember where it was, if it was like in California or Australia, I can't remember where it was, but they didn't even know that these giant jellyfishes existed, but yet there's like a beach full of all of them. And I think it's like yeah, I mean, like the magnetic, we are an organism that is within this planet. So if all of us are, every creature on it, so a lot of
Right, we're
things are
all
more in tune.
electromagnetic
Yeah, we all
beings.
have
Right.
electromagnetic compasses internally. So
Right. Right.
I mean,
Yeah, well, one thing is for sure, we really have no idea. It's interesting that there's no evidence, as far as I understood from the little bit that I've watched and read, that there's evidence, obviously, of the poles shifting and changing. And you just mentioned that in the lava, so that's scientific proof. But like, where's the, well, what happens when that happens?
well, I mean,
Information.
there's things like Gobekli Template is
Or
the
we could go to.
oldest uh, intelligent man-made structure that we currently have in Turkey, and it was intentionally buried. and I mean, maybe they knew it was coming and they're like, let's try to, I mean, they haven't even dug all that up. It's only been like available for the public since like the early 2000s. But I mean, Gobekli Template like has changed our entire, like they're saying they did it to at least 14,000 years or 14,000 years ago, which some people say it might be even older than that. But you're talking about, we're supposed to be cavemen at that point, and it's full blown sculptures, like, and it's got like stuff that you can see there's some sort of resemblance of ancient Egypt in there, you know. So I mean, there was some cross culture stuff going on. There's all kinds of stuff that they were just starting to dig up now, but it's becoming almost like fringe, or it's still on the fringe, and it's not like widely accepted. And I don't understand that, why it's not widely accepted, or why it's not widely being investigated, right?
Well, yeah, and is it really related to the magnetic pole shifting?
I mean, like they like a lot of times they talk about this flood, like a flood that is,
right,
the Great Flood that was all over the entire world, and there's evidence,
right, including in the Bible, right?
Including in the Bible, but the dates of when that is, I mean, they say even the pyramids show. There's a water line on the giant pyramid of Giza, and there's like shells and Luxor inside like these giant temples, like I'm saying, like little micro shells within like the rocks and stuff, and the granite, and there's all kinds of like these weird evidences of, okay, well maybe there was like, okay, let's say it was 10,000 years ago, like, okay, there's a place called the Waco Waco Mammoth Monument in Waco, Texas, and it is this it became a national park, like, I don't know, really recently, like in Obama's presidency, and they made a little house that found it or something. There's 16 giant woolly mammoths, or mastodons, or I think it's how you say it, mastodons. Anyway, they were in a nursery herd. So like there was like 16 females holding like, I think 4 to 8 little babies in their tusk, holding them up, and they all died instantly. And they're found in this little nursery herd. And so like, wow. Yeah, and I've been and visited it, and it's amazing. It's really cool. Like you still see, there's a camel found in there. So yeah, there's camels in North America. Apparently they originated over here. I'm kind of going like, what? Nobody told me that. And then they found like a baby saber-toothed tiger there, like a tooth, and they found some giant sloth remnants or whatever. So, but the thing is like, okay, I can't possibly think of a reason why 16 giant elephants, okay, 16 giant woolly mammoths and 8 babies all died instantly together in a circle.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like, what is going on?
And it's like, you know, and they explain it like, well, it must have been a flood. Okay, so these things that are 20 or 14 feet tall, or something taller than anything we currently have alive, that's a walking mammoth or whatever, like they're as tall as a giraffe, are like, oh, we're in the riverbed, guess we're all gonna just sit here with this little flash flood and die together.
Right.
No, I mean, like, there has to be some sort of like ginormous, you couldn't get away from tsunami or something.
Well, that's true. Maybe a tsunami. And what about, and it wasn't during the time of,
oh, this was, that's the thing, dating with everything is like, so
yeah, exactly.
Because they're like, oh, it's between 70,000 and 10,000 years ago. You're like, oh, just that 50,000 year gap, nothing. That's nothing really in the scheme of things. Yeah, it is. But I mean, anyway, like it could have been 10,000 years ago when that happened, which really isn't that long ago. Like there was intelligent men at that point.
Right, exactly. Yeah, 10,000 years ago. It was already cultivated farming.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, in the meantime, we don't have your invention going. And I like how you call it a machine, although I don't think of it really as a machine. The only thing that would make it's like a chamber more than anything, because there's nothing mechanical about
There's no moving parts really. Yeah. It's, and I kind of like that about it. Like, it's like, it's not like it has an on or off button.
Right. Exactly. So because the only thing that's really the essential is well, it all is essential, because it's all together, but like the north and the south facing magnets between, and the body of the person who's floating is in the middle.
Well, and also like I have to figure out, like, they didn't give me like numbers. They weren't like, well, the magnet has to be this particular strength and this one.
I was wondering the same thing. Yes.
That's
and also
one thing
like
where I'm
the
like,
depth but below, because at first I was thinking that part of it was underground, but then you said no, the part that's underneath is like hollowed out, so like the person would be above that, actually like floating above that. So that means that there's all the water, the Epsom salt water would be like filled in that.
Yeah, well, I mean, like you're talking about like within the actual chamber, it's like, yeah, there's like this part is like a little.
Oh,
but
okay. I was thinking it goes all the way. Yeah, I was thinking about
this is not water. There's no water in this. This is all
that's filled with the minerals you're mentioning.
Yeah, with the sands. It's filled with the quartz sand and the shungite sand.
Cool. Okay, I see now.
Yeah. So it's filled with quartz and carbon, which is the same thing that's in the tubes that connect that is same things. That's this tube, the tube, or the two, what do you mean? The filament stuff that connects the north and the south facing magnet. It basically just amplifies the magnetic field. And makes the flow not what do you call it? Like the field won't be interfered with.
It just makes a strong field connection.
Yeah, I guess so. It could all be crap. I'm just telling you. I'm an active dreamer. There's that.
Yes. Well, there is that. We'll give that the benefit of the doubt, but I don't think so. I think you're onto something. I'd like to say so. And at very least, we already see that the sensory deprivation tanks are beneficial to people. There's been studies done on them with healthy people that show that they help to reduce stress, and of course they're good for your muscles because you are sitting in a bath of magnesium, and we know the benefits of Epsom salts. So at very least it's that. And then the crystals that you mentioned are, again, what the second one that I'm not familiar with.
What, shungite or just quartz?
Shungite. Yes, quartz. Yeah.
It's
shungite I'm not really familiar with. So yeah, so we could also look up, my point being is that we could very much look up the properties of shungite and see what kind of effects they have, and people have used them. So I don't know if there's any studies done about that, but at very least we could see what they're traditionally used for. So what do you have? What do you know about it?
Oh, what I know about shungite is that it's only found in one particular area in Russia, and that they used a lot in their water to filter their water, and that like their royalty used to use it. It used to be like a really special like water filtration mineral. And then like I'm super attracted to it. I don't know why, but and then one of my friends was showing me that you could take the back end of a flashlight off, and then you just stick a shungite rock on it, and it turns the flashlight on, and it acts as a conductor. It really is like. And then of course I was showing that to this dude who owns a rock shop in Dallas, and he's like, of course it's almost 100% carbon, of course it would do that. And I'm like, okay, well I didn't really know what carbon does, but yeah, I guess it, like, a conductor is a conductor. It's like it allows electricity to go through it. And you need something like that when you're working with magnets, because you can't have any kind of ferrous, meaning magnetic metal, that'll get interfered with.
So here I think we're gonna probably wrap this up, because this is a great topic for today. We have our magnetic fields, our changes. I love your dreams and the fact that you've got something to build, to create, and I want to come and lay in it and be like, okay, what I'll write down. Right. I'll write down my experience with it.
I know. I kind of thought about that, where I was like, even if like, and then we kind of talked a little bit about this before, but even if it's like, oh, you just go feel what some magnetic force feels like all over your body. Like I mean, even if that's the worst it does, it's just like, oh, and I also have no problem if any listeners want to like do this on their own. I mean, like I don't own any rights to this. I'm not going to trademark it or whatever. I mean, it's just like, I think it's for anybody. If it could help,
great,
then do it. You know.
Cool. That's great. I love that open source attitude. And also about, speaking of listeners, I think part of this is of us wanting to do the podcast is to have people involved and to see what people that are listening to want to hear about. And also maybe people have had interesting dreams that are similar to yours, and we'd love to hear their stories, and we'd love to hear their ideas about about your chamber. I won't call it a machine anymore, but yeah, your chamber, and any other experiences that people have that want to bring up and say, hey, I don't believe this and this is why. That would be great. We could put it to the test. Why not?
Like if you want to be like, that's not going to work and here's why, I want to know, tell me. That'd
exactly.
Be cool.
Exactly. It's not like we're afraid to hear that either. We need to move forward. And I think this is also about bringing up the vibration at some level, at the magnetic level, at the electromagnetic level. Sure, let's bring up the vibration. Isn't that what that's about? And then we have got our meditators and people who bring up the vibration of the world through their actions and their thoughts and their interactions. So yeah, so the more the better. Let's bring it on, people.
I agree. Well, very cool. So there we go. That's what we talked about today. And if you guys have any more, pole shifting stuff that you want to talk to us about, like, I could geek out on that all day.
Cool.
Oh, wait. The one thing we didn't talk about though was, it was in November or December, the noise, there was this sound that was
so much to talk about.
Detected all over the world simultaneously, and they've never had that before, and they don't know what it is, and I'm surprised it's not bigger news than it was. But it did hit mainstream news, but it was just kind of like, the Earth made some weird harmonic noise all over the planet today. And next.
Right. And no one felt it. And it was only picked up on, what was it picked up on? Do you remember?
Well, seismographs,
it was, and it was like one person's, I think it was even an amateur person who just likes to follow seismic activity and reported on it. Oh, wow, look at this. And then other scientists started picking up on it saying, oh yeah, look at this. This is what's going on with this. And it didn't just happen once, right? It happened like several
like 3 to 5 times. I can't remember we looked at the article last week or something. I remember sending you a thing about it again. But for me, my intuition tells me that there's a connection with all of this and the field and everything. I know it sounds dumb, but I think she's waking up. Like there's so much magnetic or volcanic activity lately even, I don't know if I'm just hearing about it more or what, but the last 3 years, the volcanic activity compared to when I was a little kid is just off the charts. So, now it's just kind of oh, Guatemala had one. Oh, Alaska had one. Oh, who had these volcanic eruptions and these earthquakes and all? They're common every day.
They are happening a lot, but I always wonder, is it really happening more? I'd have to go, obviously people have that information, or are we just hearing it more because of media, but because of social media and internet and all that? But who knows? I don't really know. I'm sure that information's out there. It's got to be. It's pretty easy to find.
It would be interesting to know if the volcanic and earthquake activity is picked up over the last 5-10 years or not, because it sure does seem like it from anecdotal experience.
Yes, it does. It definitely does. And another topic that I want to look at some point is the signals that have been coming in from outer space. No, you've heard about that in the last couple of weeks. There have been different signals from different places.
Are you talking about the gamma blasts?
Yes.
That they have the multiple ones. Yeah, that they had found one a while ago, and they're like, this is the only time that has ever. And then now they just found
a few others that have come out.
A few others. So yeah,
and they're rhythmic too. There was one that was happening every 121 seconds, which is right. It was 2 minutes. Right, 121 seconds.
I mean, like they're basically, this is like the most mainstream way of them saying like, we might not be alone. This
right.
might be like intentional, not natural.
Right, exactly.
Even though if you really think about it, we are natural. You know, because.
Right, we're all natural.
We're all natural.
Yeah. So we've got a lot more to talk about. So join us next time.
Yes. Okay. And until then. Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.